What's happening, people? So we're back. Today's talk is going to be about putting aside your pride and ego, yeah? So why I wanted to make this video is because I had to do it, innit? I don't make videos for no reason. I had to put aside my pride and my ego so I could pay my bills, so I could just have a job which kept me stable and didn't allow me to be independent on other people. And I think a lot of people definitely will go through this because in the time in you building yourself, yeah, as a person, as a young adult, or even as an adult, yeah, there's some things that you go through and you think, fuck, man, why me, man? Why me? Of all people, why me? What did I do to deserve to have this happen to me? But it's circumstances which might be out of your control. Mine too. It's happened to me numerous amounts of times out of my control. But I have to put aside my pride, which is, oh my God, I'm never gonna let somebody treat me like this again. On, these people are dickheads and blah 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 blah. I've said that all, but at the end of the day, I'm still in the same position what I'm in, right, with no job or something like that. So I've got to put aside my own personal pride and go out and look for another job ASAP. Like, I have to do that because if I don't do that, the bills which are coming in are not going anywhere. They're just going to accumulate more and more and more bills. And all it does is stress you out. You know, I can tell people that I've honestly been at a place where I've been stressed out and worried about things like that. And I've had to put aside my pride. Like, I've had to stop thinking about, oh, but I've made money off of this and I've made money making content and I've done that. And you have to think about what you have now, because you'll dwell and dwindle on that shit like all day. Like all day I'll be dwelling on it, thinking like, oh, but I had this dough, then I had that. Like, it's not like, what did I spend it on? Because it's only me spending it. So I know I'm a spender. Do you get it? So you could only be upset with yourself, innit? Because you got to take responsibilities for your own actions, right? It's not other people's actions, it's your own, innit? And I think this whole part of growing up is definitely something which no one will explain to you. It's just taking accountability, innit? And accountability is a word which will be thrown around inside the workplace, isn't it? Someone needs to take accountability for these actions. Do you get it? You need to take accountability for your own actions, because they affect yourself. That's the blunt truth of it, is that it affects yourself. And when I say the ego, yeah, me coming from the life what I've lived, I obviously have a little bit of an ego to myself. I know I do. Everybody does. Whether you think you're a super academic, so therefore you feel that you're a lot more smarter than the average individual, or your vocabulary, the way you arrange words, is fluent like a poet, and that's how you might feel. But you work at the local council. Do you get it? I'm not dissing anybody for working at the council. It is what it is. What I'm saying, yeah, is just that whole putting aside that side of things just allows you to grow, because when I have put aside my pride, yeah, I've been in a place where I'm grateful for the opportunity, but I understand what it's going to do for myself. It's going to get me out of the place where I don't want to be, which is depending on somebody else, worrying about my bills, and not being in a place where I like to be, which is a level of comfort, saving, making money. Do you get it? All of that type of thing. But what I want to say to people is just, when I say put aside your pride, yeah, you got to do that just for the better of yourself. You got to understand, like, when I've made these types of videos and I've thought about something which is going to be helpful to other people, like, which is putting aside your pride. When I tell people and they ask me, one of the most asked questions for me as Mr. London Plumber is, how do I get into plumbing? Like, how can I get into, I don't want to show people's logo. How can I get into plumbing? How can I get into thing? Well, what you can do is you can go and see a plumber and say, let me work for free. Why do you think your time is valuable? Do you get it? Like, put your pride aside because you think you're going to get money, but go there with the intentions not to get any money. Just put that money out of it Like, what is it? You don't want to tell someone that you worked, but you didn't get paid? Come on, man. And when I say that back to them, they're like, oh, snap. You're right. I done that. It worked. You done it. Well done. That's what I say. Well done, because you done it. Because you didn't let somebody else do it before you, innit? Because I would have told you boo-hoo if someone else got there before you. Again, it's up to you to think about your actions and what you do. And that's what I tell people who are like 17, 16, I tell them to do that. So someone who's a little bit more grown, like myself, I'm in my 30s, I've said this to people before, but that whole putting aside your pride, it involves things like, for me, it involved things like, I was a person that always splashes out at lunch. You get it? Sometimes I'll be working at West End, Chelsea, wherever. I'm going out. I'm getting cakes. I'm enjoying myself. My stomach is good. If I got to put up with these people, I got to have some good eats. Right? And that digs into your pocket at the end of the day, innit? If you keep on doing that all the time. But me putting my pride aside was me making packed lunch for myself every day. Yeah, I felt like, oh, it's a bit corny, like, but do you know what? At the end of the day, the saving, the money, it's just made so much sense. Do you get it? Why am I splashing out 20 quid every day? It's £100 a week on lunch. Do you get it? It's a lot. But if you're making money, you may feel like you deserve it. That's how I was moving, because I'm a tourist, so I feel like that sometimes. Like I deserve something, so it doesn't really matter about the price. But I need to snap myself back into it and just be focused on the mission, which is no, don't do that. So what I do now, and what I have been doing for a couple of years now, which is just bringing my packed lunch to work. Bringing my packed lunch to work and making sure that I've saved that extra £100 at the end of the week. Do you get it? That extra saving and just not doing that is helping me, instead of just, I know I've got the money in my pocket, not letting the money burn a hole in my pocket or my card, just be like, boom, you got this amount of money. Listen, we got to save that. That's what you got to say to yourself. You got to save it, because saving your money for when you do have hard times, like I've come on hard times, like I've told people before, me saving my money allowed me not to fall behind with my bills. And the prideful side of me could have said, nah, we got to go and get more Burberry. Nah, we got to go and get more Balenciaga and these types of things. And Moncler's. I'm a Moncler person, though. I just want to let people know that. I'm glad I was able to treat myself, but also pay my bills. That's what I do want to say. That lesson I did learn for myself. If you work so hard, I paid my bills. I bought some equipment. I bought some new cameras and stuff like that. I invested within myself. But I'm glad I never done the young boy thing and just blew loads of money, because I would have felt like the fool, and I would have been the fool for doing something like that. You know, money's hard to come by. When you work hard for it, spend it wisely, innit? Don't let like the inner ego of you get the better of you and say, I need to go out shopping. People catch you in Westfield and you're just posting pictures of you in Westie. Oh, no, don't do that. Your money's more valuable to you. Make sure you invest it within yourself in some type of way. And get used to bringing packed lunches to work, because it's quite normal behavior for most people. I know a lot of us like to go out. Like I've been one to hit up girls. I'm not gonna lie. I used to rinse it in girls till I realized how much it was coming out of my account on a monthly basis. Let's cut that out. But you live and you learn, innit? But this was just a conversation which I thought about myself, which I know that people want to have with themselves, which is, you got to put your pride and your ego to one side to be able to get on with life and certain things. So certain times your pride holds you back from doing certain things. That's the truth. And your ego will definitely as well. The ego will tell you, nah, man, allow it. You're better than that. Why are you doing that for? A better opportunity will come along. But while between that time, you might face yourself being, or you might feel like you're suffering during that time. So feeling like you're suffering during that time is not good for anybody's anxiety. It's not good for their mental health, and it's just not good in general, isn't it? So being in a better place where you can just live comfortably, but you won't be living as how you used to live. That's what it was like for me. It just allowed me to regroup myself and put things back into place where they need to be. Focus maybe more on some other things. Like I'm focusing more on my content and making sure that I can do the right things. And once that starts to go well, I think for me, it's like a good lesson learned, if you get what I mean. I was able to put my pride aside and still go back out there and do a job which I didn't probably really want to do, but you know what? It pays the bills, doesn't it? I'll go and do it, no problem, until I can get myself back on my feet. But I can honestly say to myself at that time, it was testing times. They are going to be testing times for you. But that's how you kind of gauge when you're growing up now, isn't it? You're growing up and it's not I'm growing up because I didn't speak about it. I'm growing up because I'm speaking about it right now. I'm growing up because I'm learning different methods on how to deal with it instead of crashing out, is what people call it. Like, there is nobody to be upset with apart from myself with spending money and that type of situation, of course. But you should learn yourself how to manage that a little bit more, which I think a lot of people don't talk about as you get older, which is how to manage your money, because everyone isn't great at it as well. That's what you got to understand. We're all kind of like learning different things when you get to different points. Like if you got 5 bags, if you got 10 bags, what are you going to do with it? If you got 20 bags, you're not really going to run off and say, I got money for a house. You need a lot more than that nowadays. But that's like me having a good level of understanding about just what goes on when I'm just not thinking about myself in a way where like, oh, I'm too big to do that, or I got too many things going on to do this. I think the opportunities what come to you sometimes, yeah, they might not be the best, and that's the truth. But if you can work with them sometimes to work something for yourself, always do that, innit? Because you don't know when the next opportunity is coming. And I've always found personally that when I'm in a good opportunity or in a good lane, it's easier for me to find another one. It's harder for me to find one when I'm just outside of all of it. Because again, you've got the added on stress of when's the next thing gonna come, and you don't know when it's gonna come. And I don't even like living like that, and I don't advise anyone else to. I think you should go for the opportunities which are in front of you, make them work if they can work. If they can't work, always keep looking. I've always kept looking. I've always kept my eyes open, because some of the opportunities that have passed me, I thought, wow, this is amazing, this job, or this would be a nice place to work, or this would be a good establishment to have on my CV. Just keep your eyes open. Keep your pride down a little. Don't keep your pride down. Your pride is always going to be higher to yourself, isn't it? Because all of us respect ourselves. You all rate yourself in some type of way. So my point was, put your pride aside sometimes so you can just move on with your life. In a lot of the other situations as well, in relationship wise as well, you got to do that. Sometimes you got to put up with the person who you love and the annoying things, maybe what they do, or just having the conversations which you feel like, oh, I don't want to have this conversation. Well, who is she going to speak to? Do you get it? You don't want it to be nobody else. Anyway, I thought this would make some good conversation, but it was just a short one what I wanted to wrap you guys up with today, which was put your pride aside and your ego in it, because in the future, growing up, you will learn that some of them things are not necessary for you to pass certain chapters of life. And you will want to get past all of these chapters so you can just live. You get it? But I'm out. Make sure you subscribe.